/Minecraft/I'm schizophrenic talking to myself. Literally, I have 0 friends, and I need someone to bring these ideas out to, or I'm gonna go insane. And this is gonna be a weekly thing, so subscribe. Counter-Strike was better. And CSGO was better, and it was a better experience, but not because there wasn't any cheaters, and not because the battle, like the operations were frequent and had cool missions. Counter-Strike was better because it was funner, and that sounds like nostalgia bait, and it sounds like, you know, just being angry about times changing, but the things that I meant, like the fact that deagles are no longer 2 shots to the body to kill, and it's 3 shots to the body to kill. It makes it just kind of it's more competitive, and it's not. As someone who just plays matchmaking, as someone who just goes in, plays a couple games and gets out, I'm not looking to rank up. I'm not looking to win. I'm looking to have fun. I legitimately play this game just to like interact with people. And like I do believe that Counter-Strike community is the best community in gaming, and in terms of the variety and like the toxicity. It's a good toxicity. It is a Call of Duty. Like most of the time, the toxicity in Counter-Strike is like a Call of Duty lobby in 2025, 2026, 2024. Like it's been consistently like bro, like you're bro, like bro level energy, at least from my experience, mostly in NA. But and in fact, I'll say this too, which I mean, hey, call me a racist, but when I'm paired with people who aren't NA, American, white, my experience is drastically worse, and it's probably a cultural thing. With Asians, it's just I can't even communicate with them at all. There's 0 English, and I usually get put into like when I get an Asian, there's usually 3 of them, and they don't say a word because they probably don't even speak any English, or if they do, they just don't care, which is fair. But when I get like Europeans, which is very weird that I'm getting like especially Eastern Europeans with low ping. Why you here? But it's cultural, and my culture is superior because they're just the worst people to be around. And you know, I'm being a little tongue in cheek here, but there is a case to be made that we should segregate Eastern Europeans from Counter-Strike, but that probably won't go over well, so we'll just move on. But what I think Valve is trying to do, getting back on topic, what I think Valve is trying to do is create a game. Well, there's a problem that I've never seen anybody talk about, which I think is like an elephant in the room that it's impossible for us to know, but Valve has to know based on the data. Because they had to remember, in Counter-Strike and CSGO, they had this system towards the end of it where for 99 cents a month, I believe it was, and I paid for it. I don't remember how much it was, but I loved it. You could get every single stat. Like you could get like your 2v, your like 1v4, 1v5, 1v3 stats. Like how much you like, just insane detailed stuff that you like. I don't even think professional. Like it's so niche information that even the hardcore people who like pay attention to professional esports, like they don't even know the stats for professional players, let alone themselves. It was so unnecessary, but it was so cheap, and I bought it, and I loved it because you could track everything. But the point is that Valve has that data, and they also have your Steam profile, so they know you've been playing this game for 10,000 hours for 10 years, and this is your level. And what I think that is a very hard challenge for them is integrating, you know, 10-year coin veterans who've been playing Inferno, who've been playing Dust 2, been playing Mirage. I mean, all the maps. They've been playing these maps for like 10, 20 years. Let's just somewhere in like, you know what I mean? So they know the timings. And even if you change like Inferno a little bit, or you change Mirage and rework it, like it's still Mirage, and you like the timings are the same, and that probably doesn't seem like a lot, but it's like background noise, and if you can like tune into that background noise, it gives you such an insane advantage. You just there's times where I'll throw a grenade into like Inferno apps, and I'll get like 70 points of damage. And there was no reason for me to throw it right then, besides the fact that I just knew. And that's a huge gameplay advantage. And not even to mention the fact that, you know, I've been playing for 7 years. I've been playing for like 8 years semi-consistently. So I have mechanical aim, and even if I don't warm up, like the first, like I won't even warm up anymore. I'll play like 3 games in a row. The first game I don't do very good, but by the third game, like I'm playing how I should be playing. And the difference, my skill group difference from game 1 to game 3 is probably like 3 or 4 ranks. Not, and you know, it's like Silver Elite Master to Gold Noble. Like, but the point is that I'm not anomalous in this. I feel like there's a lot of people who like if they like sit up and lock in, they're 5 ranks higher than when they're just chilling with their friends, and they can tap into that more or less kind of whenever they want. And how do you pair that with people who, you know, they're here from Valorant, or they're just here, brand new player. You're the same rank, but you're not the same rank. And that's I think that's a huge problem that Valve is like faced with, where like I feel like they want to. People shit on Valve, and it's fair. Always hate corporations, necessary evil, still evil. But I do believe that the people at Valve do like playing video games, and they do enjoy, on some level, they enjoy what they do, and I think they do care. And I people like the skin stuff. People give them shit for, which again is fair, but like that's another thing where I feel like people. I feel like kind of like another Counter-Strike's in a bad state. That's what people say. But what are you gonna do to fix it? Like what's wrong with Counter-Strike 2? That's what I'm trying. That's something that I've been really trying, because it doesn't feel right. So something's wrong, right? But what is wrong? And what's wrong is it just isn't as fun anymore. But half of the fun was being able to be on Inferno behind that wall in Banana and like just like mug somebody with your 2 deagle shots. And that's just you, but that isn't friendly. Like if you've been around the block before, you just go, God, why didn't I check that? But if you're new to the game, I feel like that's probably pretty fucked up. Especially if you like, if you did do the meme where you full buy everything and you just get plugged like that. That's very off-putting. But I think another aspect is, I think what they want is to make the esport like, they want to make the game as esports as possible without ruining it for casual players, obviously, because they're the people who play, they're the ones who dictate everything, because without them nothing exists. But what I think they want is for you to be able to watch Shanghai Major or whatever the next major, or anything really, any event, you watch it, and they want you to be able to download the game and experience that, no matter what background you have, whether it's 10,000 hours of Counter-Strike or 10 hours. They want you to be able to like click into that. And that is, I think, kind of one of the shadow reasons for like the smoke change, because I remember like in CSGO, it was a meta, which I don't necessarily like calling it that, but because it wasn't on purpose, but it was like you like, and going back to Inferno, CT to B, when the T's rush in, you throw out smoke, and if you didn't throw it in the middle, there would be a gap, And I remember, and this is when I was playing in silver all those years ago, like you could play, like it was standard to play off of the fact that there was going to be a gap in the smoke. And even the T's knew there's going to be a gap in the smoke. So this weird like peekaboo game happened where like they don't even really try, like no one even tried to throw the smokes properly because it was like a way to get a free kill as a T because like the CT was peeking through it and you knew. So it's like this weird meta thing that happened from that. But now with the new smokes, like you can throw blindfolded and you'll smoke it off. And if you line it up properly, you can smoke off, the boost spot too. And what that does is it naturally artificially it's hard to put into a word, but like it boosts everybody up. But it doesn't boost me up because I know how to smoke off CT. But like the guy who's silver elite or the guy who's new, who I shouldn't be playing against, but I am because like I just don't care to rank up. It puts him a lot closer to me in terms of viability in a round. And I think that is a lot of the decision making going into what they change and how they do it. But another thing that I don't think people appreciate is that I think Counter-Strike kind of is perfect. And obviously perfect is a relative term. And we can talk about cheaters. I could talk for another hour about cheating and why it doesn't matter that there's cheaters. But I'll save that for a whole nother hour some other time. But perfect means two different things in context. Like I solved this math equation perfectly. It's a lot different than this is the perfect song. And I do believe, that there's an objective reality, like Beethoven's better than Taylor Swift. And you can like Taylor Swift more, but I mean, if you looked at me in the eyes and said Taylor Swift is a better musician than Beethoven, well, I'm going to have to kill you now. But besides that, like there is an objective thing. There's objective reality, which is pretty easy to see if you're not being stupid. But the other, like, take Beethoven's symphony. Like, what are you going to add to it to make it, or remove from it to make it better? Like, and obviously I'm saying the symphony, I don't know what symphony, like symphony A, B, C. Okay, what are you going to remove from it to make it better? What are you going to add to it to make it better? And that's why it's perfect, is because it's existent, like it's as it is. You can change it and it'll be different, not better. And I feel like that's where Counter-Strike is, where you can change, the AK now, the AK does this, the M4 does this. You can change it, but what are you gonna like add? What is it missing, or what does it have too much of? And I don't know, and obviously I'm not exactly the most educated person in this kind of a field. I get stoned to play Counter-Strike sometimes, but people get too emotional and they get too invested, and they don't, and then they move on. So they just think it, and then that's just their thought. And I'm basing this off of the Steam the comments on Steam updates for Counter-Strike, where after 10 years people are still asking for back to work. Which, like I said, we could talk about cheaters for another whole hour. We'll say that for later. Say that for another time. But it's Counter-Strike can't go back. It can't become CSGO. And that's just the market for gaming. And obviously, if Valve was like heuristic about it, I don't know if that's the right word, and just like, we're gonna make a game for Counter-Strike players, we don't want to make $1 billion a day, they could do that, but I feel like skin prices would go down, which this is where we get into territory that I feel like people don't, that make people mad. But skins do matter, and guys like 𝖵_OWL, which I understand, but they're wrong. They'll say that they wish skins were never introduced into Counter-Strike, but I don't think Counter-Strike exists today without skins, for better and for worse. That's fair, but I don't think we have the record player count that we have. Even if a quarter of them are bots, even if half of them are bots, we don't have that without skins. And that's just the nature of the beast. Because like Valorant exists because e-girls and streamers. And it will never go away, but it'll never get bigger than that, than those things can pool. You like e-girls and streamers and simps will always make Valorant viable, but it probably, unless they shift and pivot, which you do, which is a problem that Counter-Strike has. You how do you shift and pivot away from your core audience to get new audience? It doesn't really make sense. But that's the thing. Like with Counter-Strike skins, is it gives a second wind, even like permanently. If like, I'm trying to think how to put this. With the skin economy, you have people like say Jesus, where I don't know if I've ever seen him play a game of Counter-Strike in my life. I don't watch, but his entire existence on YouTube and stuff is the economy, which that's fair, that's fine. But that's what I'm saying, is that Counter-Strike has a third lung, and it's based entirely on the skins economy. But it isn't separate. It's integrated, I would say, like as perfect as you could with the main game. And obviously all this stuff does, you can't think about this cynically, because obviously all of this does is make Valve infinite money. So if you think about it cynically, then the whole thing's a cash grab. But like I'm trying to say here is, without the skins, I feel like Counter-Strike would be a lot fatter. Taking the lung analogy to its retarded extreme. I don't think Counter-Strike would exist as well as it will without skins. And I think Valve knows that. There was an old, this is like, I don't know, a decade ago. I've seen clips of it. I never watched the whole thing, but like the very beginning of it, they had like a press conference or like talking to investors. I don't even remember, but like from the very beginning, they were creating an economy. Which is a very insane thing to do. But they knew what they were doing, and obviously, again, if you want to be cynical about it, it's just for money. They're just doing it for money, and that's very fair. And I feel like it's, if you're gonna have a position, it's better to have that position than be like pro Valve, which you should never. No one should ever be pro corporation. Again, necessary evil, but it's still evil. And I'm not saying Valve's evil either, but that's like. People say like, well, that's the cops are necessary evil when they just shoot people in the back. But we need cops anyway. Like obviously we need cops because criminals. Okay, I'm not gonna go insane here, but necessary evil is still evil, and you should, in your brain, the only place you have freedom, you should have that distinction. Like I'm not saying we defund the. Getting off topic here. The point is that I don't have a point. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm tired. It's just I'm going insane, and if I don't start talking out loud, I'm gonna like be a danger to myself and others. But I feel like these ideas are important to get out, because it kind of realizing it and understanding it makes you, at least for me, it's allowed me to enjoy Counter-Strike more. Because it's like, man, I wish it was CSGO. Like, why isn't it CSGO? Well, it just can't be. For 1,000 different reasons. Some of them more valid than others, but it just can't be. So just play the game and have fun. And that's fair. I think that's the only way to really go at these things nowadays. Is shit's fucked. But what are you gonna do? Kill yourself? Yeah, I didn't think so. So you might as well enjoy the ride, buddy. You can cry in hell, or you can get the fuck out. Or you can, you know, you can take a slide down the lava tube. But what I am also trying to get across, and I'm failing at this, forgive me, it is my first time doing something like this, is that it isn't as bad as people say it is, which goes back to like the cheater thing, where the cheater problem is not as bad as it is. Like there are not as many cheaters as people say there is, and on top of that, the cheaters, like a lot of the cheaters that are there, it isn't as game ending as people say it is. But again, we'll save that for another time. There was something else that was bugging me. Something that I will critique Valve for, and I hope more people, my biggest hope is that this gets out there and starts moving. And you know, and Valve doesn't listen anyway, so I don't know, I'm smoking crack, but like the map pool for professional play, I'm not going to talk about that because I don't know enough about professional play to say like how fast Valve should like change the professional map pool. But the two maps that we have now that aren't official, that are community maps, like Eden and whatever the other one is, both of them are great maps, but they should have been replaced by now. And that was one of the reasons why operations were cool, was because they added a bunch of new maps. And on top of that, you had missions and stuff. But obviously, we're not going to get that with the armory. The armory kind of said the armory existing is the gravestone of operations, almost certainly. But there's really no reason, especially now that you essentially have two different games in Counter-Strike, which is Premier, which this goes back to the whole, they want you to be able to play esports in your room, is you have Premier, which has the map veto thing, which, as cool as it is, it's stupid, in my humble opinion, and just because of the fact that it's always Mirage or like Dust 2, and you know, those aren't the best maps in my opinion, but I digress. Who am I to say? But the point is that there's two separate games that are like conjoined twins, so it doesn't feel like there's a division, which is ingenious engineering by them. And when you have Premier ranking and then you have individual rankings for maps, you legitimately lose nothing by playing the new maps. So if you want to be super professional and like, I want 25,000 points for Premier, go. Have fun, buddy. Mirage is calling you. Or if you go, you know, I just want to play Mirage. I just want to play Inferno. I just want to play whatever in Italy, and I want to play it really well. Queue only that map, buddy. It's calling you. If you just want to have fun and you're looking to like find funny moments for a YouTube video or whatever it may be, or just chill with friends, put every single map on, baby. We're going. And that's where you can inject a lot of life into the bottom of Counter-Strike, is by having like monthly or bi-monthly map rotations. Now, obviously, if you do it too quick, you probably run into a problem where how do you source quality maps? Because you don't want shit maps. Maybe like that's what's the difference between an experimental map that doesn't work and a shitty map? You know what I mean? Like if you had like this map is doing something different, but it just doesn't play right. Versus this is a bad designed map. For a guy who's, you know, getting stoned playing Counter-Strike, which is a lot of the people, sometimes me, you can't really tell, and that can lead to like a bitter taste in the mouth. But I would say that the times where that goes wrong are outweighed by the times it goes right. And I'm speaking specifically of one map, which I cannot remember the name of for the life of me. I'm gonna find out right now live. Eden. It was Eden. The other one's Basalt. Eden Eden is, I think, textbook. I've only played like a handful of times, but every time I play it, it is a vastly different. It's differently paced from any other map that I've played recently in recent memory. It's not that it's different in terms of anything. Like, it's just the pace is so different, and that's because the map bomb sites are in different places, and like those kind of things. Like, it's still Counter-Strike, but you have this insanely different experience, and like but it isn't Alien, because you still have like long A, I believe, whereas like you have your op out and you're holding angles and stuff, but you have your close quarters and stuff. But the thing I'm thinking about specifically is from T spawn to A site. If you go the right way, if you go to the right, you have like this like choke point speedway, and you just get on the A site, which is also the CT spawn. And it's just, it doesn't, if it on paper, just looking at the map, it's obviously different, but it shouldn't play different. But the way the psychology of a T player changes on this map, and they just barrel through like it's always a rush. It's very weird, but that's what I mean is there's very little risk to like just change the maps more often, especially just like the 2 community maps. Make it even 1 community map, change it every month. But like you give so much room to breathe for someone who's looking to play a game a day, who's looking to find funny moments, who's looking to do whatever on a weekend, play with the boys. You give so much air that people don't have to, and that was back in the old day in like Counter-Strike Go and stuff. There was like, when there was like you had 1 rank, you were scared to play the new map because you don't know the angles, and that's understandable, that's fair. But now there's like no fear, so it's just like, hey, I'm looking for a good time. The point is, I don't know why Valve hasn't done this. I'm rambling at this point, but I think this hits to one of Valve's major weaknesses, which is they are just slow about things, unnecessarily slow. Obviously, the turtle wins the race, and their strategy has been winning, both in money and player count, and community and culture. Seemingly everything is going the right way for Counter-Strike. When I don't pay any attention, but Valorant is just looking at stuff, it looks dead. It looks hollow. But I mean, it's like I said, as long as there's simps, e-girls, and streamers, it won't die. So, take that for what you will. But if the esports scenes die in Counter-Strike, like just say tomorrow the esports scene's dead, Counter-Strike doesn't die. It might take a big hit, and it might not be able to grow anymore, or as fast or whatever, but it doesn't die. If skins got deleted tomorrow, I don't think it would die, but it would suffer. That's one of the legs. If you kick out that leg, I think Counter-Strike suffers tremendously and never recovers. And that's like the double-edged sword of the economy that they've created, is where if something goes wrong with the economy, it is probably pretty bad for Counter-Strike in whole if like the skins go under for some reason besides a global recession. But I guess the point I'm trying to get at is that people are right. You are right. Counter-Strike was better. Counter-Strike Go was better, but you don't know why you're right. And you can't go back. So don't bother. Just have fun while you can. It's very ominous. I'm not threatening you, I promise. I do not know where you live, but, well, you're somewhere. That's enough. That's a start. That's a start. I know you're out there. I'm trying to think. There's another thing I wanted to bring up. Oh, it does. I mean, I might as well. But this is gonna be like a hot take. A hot take. I'm gonna like make it to a YouTube short. Like, I think cases are going to go away, or at the very least, they set up a system to take over when cases get banned. Let's say worst case scenario, which I'm not gonna get into like the whole is gambling good or bad thing. Okay, I don't give a shit. Whatever. But which is another that's another fucking thing we could talk about 10 hours for. The stupid like 10-part series, 20-hour whatever by that one freak who's like hates child gambling, which obviously child gambling's bad. But it's like one of those things where it's just like, yeah, okay. Yeah, no, child gambling is bad. All right. Cool. It's like one of those things where it's same thing with, this is so insane. It's the same thing with like pedophilia. Like people will post memes of like how you deal with a pedophile, and it's a .357 Magnum. Obviously yes. But like pedophiles are the punching bag. Like nobody in their right mind would be like, well, maybe I shouldn't say that because there's plenty of people who are on the left, but like no reasonable person you're gonna talk to is like, yeah, we should let pedophiles be free. No one's gonna like, you don't need to go so hard, Grandpa, with the death threats against pedophiles. Like they're not the ones who you have to like showboat your willingness to kill people about. And the same thing with like child gambling. It was just like I watched parts of like all the videos, and it was just it's so dramatic for like such an easy like it's a 15-second short, my guy. Child gambling is bad, and Valve should do something about it. Obviously there was more to it because of like the whole like online third-party gambling scene. But you mean to tell me people who run quasi illegal schemes are bad? And when they're bad in one aspect of their life, it's almost inevitable that all aspects follow suit? What? You're telling me that bad people are bad? And I mean, I'm not gonna knock the guy for making $1 million off videos, but if people give so much credence to that because it's a documentary, and I'm off topic. I don't even know what I was gonna talk about. The cases, I think, and I don't know, it doesn't matter because it's just changing one form of gambling to another. But I do find it interesting, and I think it is insightful into how Valve operates, where the armory is now here because there is a chance that their lawyers fail and enough countries ban gambling loot boxes that they just like forego the whole thing, or they limit it. Because what I'm saying by cases going away is that there won't be any new cases that you get from a drop at the end of a match. Like the old guard of cases probably will always be there, and it's just like, or the countries that ban it, you just get 2 gun skins instead of a gun skin and a case or graffiti, whatever. But that is the thing. It gives them flexibility. So like if France is like, okay, cases are gone, just no extra case, fuck you, all of it gone. Well, then you just get rid of it, and the armory pass is still there, and it's different. It is different, and it's technically different, but it is different. Let's be fair about it. Like, it's extra steps of gambling, I guess, but going back to like operations, you get stars, you get missions, you do the mission, and then at the end when you like level up or whatever, when you beat the mission, you gotta drop, if I remember correctly, like Operation Hydra. So you beat the mission, then you gotta drop, right? Like that's essentially, and unless I'm wrong, which I could be, but it's essentially the same way it is now with the armory, where you just play the game, you get these things, and you get a random reward. And it's not like you can buy. That's the thing. You can't buy stars, so you can't just you can't just gamble like that. You have to play the game, and it's a reward for playing the game essentially. Just it's a gamble reward. Your reward is gambling, which is a pretty good reward in my opinion. Gambling is its own reward. It is, man. You know, the Bible and stuff says you shall not gamble or whatever, but you know, maybe Jesus was wrong on that one. I'm kidding. I'm not gonna go to hell on this. I'm not gonna go to hell on gambling, but you know what? $50 on blackjack. Not that I've ever done that. I'm sure it goes pretty hard. But I have opened cases before, and those go pretty hard. Which, I don't know, we're at 40-minute mark. I'm gonna cut this down to be like, what, 35 minutes? Like 30 minutes? I don't know if we should keep talking, but I'm gonna keep talking. One last point, one last idea that I had. Probably the hottest take besides, after pedophilia being bad, the hottest take in this video is that the new armory stuff, like the operation, like, because not all operations were the same. Like Operation Riptide was a lot different than like Operation Hydra, right? Because Hydra and those operations had like single player or co-op missions, and I don't think that Riptide did. I don't remember, but I do know that it was different. It felt different. But regardless, the armory pass isn't that worse than Operations. And Valve should bring back like co-op missions. They should bring back the story. They should. There's no reason they can't. You know, all the assets in the game. I mean, they should bring back Danger Zone. There's no reason not to. Like I said, and I say that, but they have all the stats, so maybe there is a reason not to. But like that kind of stuff brings air. It gives space, which is so gay to say, but it does. It gives space, which gives you freedom to play Counter-Strike differently and easily. Like you don't have to join a custom server with custom rules or mods or community servers even, which is, I mean, community servers exist. I always forget that because it's buried in menus, but. And like Flying Scout, like there's so many ways where it's just like I don't know what stats they see that would say that the loss or the negatives outweigh the positives. Like having like a weekly or bi-weekly game mode rotation. Like I guess gun game exists. And if you add too many modes, that's a problem. That's like at the tail end of CSGO, that was a problem. You added too many game modes, and it was like, I'm playing deathmatch. I want to play retake. I want to play deathmatch. And what fucking deathmatch do I join to play against actual people to like warm up for a minute? Because there was 4 different deathmatch modes, which was stupid. And then there's like gun game and like Flying Scoutman and retake, which retake should come back. The fact that retakes isn't back is insane because they want people to be competitive, and retakes was like the best way to like warm up and practice, like officially, get XP or whatever. But it was so good. It was like so much fun because it puts you into the most intense parts of Counter-Strike with 0 weight, which maybe that isn't good. I don't know, but. Like, it was just like the 3v2s and forever, for always. And it was so much fun. And, you know, playing with your friends or against your friends, it made playing against your friends in public servers infinitely easier and more fun. Which is something, there's no reason for that not to exist. But my point is that there should be that stuff, but there should also just be, condense it. Like, all those game modes, gun game, everything I said. One playlist, weekly. Flying Scoutman for a week, retake for a week, gun game for a week, and add more to the rotation. And every other month, like change the rotation up and add like 2 new game modes, and like keep like gun game and retakes probably. Those are the core, and then Flying Scoutsman and something else replace with 2 other things. Like, there's no reason. I don't see the reason. I can't think. I'm trying to sit in Valve's shoes with my petabytes of data that I've harvested and saved. There's no reason. And that kind of stuff, that is the stuff that's the most disheartening. And I think we'll end on this. That's the most disheartening stuff to me. More than like even like the cheater problem, the operation problem, the why don't I have any friends anymore problem that I can play Counter-Strike with, like all those things. The thing that like black pills me and makes me like sad and not want to play, not want to, but just like fuck, man. It's that. It's like there should just be a little bit more fun, unserious fun, because that is what Counter-Strike is. It's fun at the shittiest level, at the highest level. It should always be fun. You should be. That's why it's so good. Is you can be taking it deadly serious. Like, I can't imagine. And obviously, I would imagine that like Simple or Donk are these people. They're taking it. Their entire existence is predicated on being the best at Counter-Strike possible. And I feel like they're still having fun. Even like, when they're losing, they're not having fun. But no one's losing when no one's having fun when they're losing. But when you're playing the game and it's going all right, you're having fun. And when you're winning, it's going great, obviously. But I think that is what separates Counter-Strike from everything else. In FPS shooting, and also gaming in a whole in this climate, is that it's just fun. It's good. Like, it works. It's 1-to-1. I'm gonna keep rambling on, aren't I? It's 1-to-1. Which it's hard to explain what I mean by that is, because obviously you press W, you go forward, you shoot, you press, but like it does feel. There's you get CSGO, you get CS2'd, but 95% of the time it's 1-to-1. You click on a head, you get the headshot, and it's the most. Other games are like that. Valorant's like that, to its credit. Rainbow Six Siege is like that, but those games have like fluff around it. Like especially Rainbow Six Siege, which we're not even gonna talk about. That has so much stuff around it that it does it removes you from that direct engagement, which maybe makes it better when you do get the direct engagement. But when you're like playing, like you're dicking your hand with gadgets, it's different. I'm not gonna knock it, but it does remove you from that visceral 1-to-1 mechanical gameplay. And no other game has that. Because like MOBAs are good, like League of Legends I'm sure is great to play. And I'm sure that it's fun to play and it feels good. But it's just I bet you that it isn't the same as Counter-Strike. And I'm probably biased, and that's fair. You hate me if you will, but this whole video is just based on the idea that like I love Counter-Strike, which is so weird to say. It's like it's a shitty video game, but like it's so good, and I feel like people don't understand or appreciate that. Even people who've been playing for like, and maybe it is a bit of fatigue. You've been playing for 10 years, for like 10,000 hours. But there isn't anything else like it, and there probably will never be. So, I guess that's why we take Valve kind of shitting the bed a little bit serious, and that's why it's so abusive when they don't say anything, and like it seemingly let this thing rot. Is because like this is a precious thing, especially nowadays, to have something so quintessential and so good. But it might just be what I said earlier, where it's just perfect. Like, what are you gonna add to it? What are you gonna change? But I think we'll end on that topic. We'll end on that bittersweet sentiment. If you watch this far, subscribe and like, because I'm going to do this every week. I don't know how long I'll do every episode, but we're probably going to get pretty political pretty quick, because I'm not going to be able to talk about Counter-Strike every week for an hour, because there really isn't that much to talk about. So we're just going to, like I said, this is This is me just talking for an hour because I have to start getting my brain empty. Even it's just like it's a video diary for myself that I'm letting you rape my mind. And I'm saying this at the end of the video because I'm sure I fucked up somewhere along the line and made everyone leave, but I mean, yeah, no, keep it real, keep it chill. I hope you had a good lunch or I hope you go to bed soon. Go to bed. Do some push-ups? I don't know. Do what you gotta do. All right, you know what you gotta do. I don't know what you gotta do. What are you fucking asking me for? Just do it.